Our next speaker is David Wintzer. Some people know this guy. David was born and raised in Park City, where he currently lives with his beautiful wife and daughter and has quite a lot of stories to tell. David spent his 20s as a competitive skier trying to tame the rugged peaks of British Columbia and Alaska. You may have seen David's signature Blue House ski model named City Park on the slopes, and he named this ski for his hometown, and in the graphic he designed the McPolin Barn, Highway 224, and PCMR in the background. It's pretty cool. David took a service trip to Kenya years ago where he discovered the potential of unripe banana flour to help create microeconomies in local communities. He has traveled the globe in search of this unripe banana flour, and with his partners, developed this baking product, and they were the first to introduce it to North America and the United States to put it on grocery shelves. David's favorite thing about Park City is the outdoors, where he's constantly taking advantage of skiing and golfing and mountain biking and hiking the endless trails. As of recent, David has set a personal goal to become the world champion of public speaking, and yes, there is such a thing. David currently works in the construction industry and has become very intrigued with comparing his personal passion for human development with the processes of building a structure. Let's welcome David Wintzer as he shares his secrets to a successful life in his speech, The Building of You.
Thank you, Sue-Ann. Just when we thought the sun was here, Mother Nature just hit us with some rain. I feel like we've completely skipped a season this summer. Is it me, or does it just feel like that in Utah, especially Park City, we only have 3 seasons now? Winter, summer, and road construction. Have you ever personally been affected by a construction project? Impacts and detours to your daily commute? Your jackass neighbor running a table saw at 7 a.m. on a Sunday morning? Have you ever driven by a construction site like this? I mean, what are they doing? What's taking them so long? What about this? What are some of the emotions you feel when driving by a brand new home like this? But did you ever stop to think what it took to get from here to here? Now, I work in commercial construction, and the more I started breaking down, the more I started seeing the similarities between building a building and building the life you want. Now, before I get started, for all my construction people in the audience, Dad, don't get all critical on my construction process, please. I have to build this house and you in a 20-minute speech. I can see someone now being like, he didn't even waterproof the foundation. He doesn't even have piping in the building. I can assure you that the piping in this building is working just fine. Tell him, Stacy. She'll tell you after the show. I recently asked my father, who's a retired contractor, what it took to run a successful construction site. And he said, maintain schedule. You constantly have to be forecasting potential delays to maintain the schedule. One of the ways to maintain schedule is to clean up the job site every night, he said. That way, you're not spending the next morning cleaning up after the previous day's worth of work, or constantly tripping over a pile of garbage that everyone, including you, is too lazy to pick up. What are some of the areas in our own lives that we can pick up? Can we declutter the car at the end of the night? 2 minutes. Pick up the kids' toys. Fold the laundry. If we can't even keep these small things in order in our own lives, how do we expect to run a successful construction site? We'll constantly be tripping over the garbage. Well, I'm glad you asked, because it all starts with a plan. A set of construction drawings. You are the architect and engineer of your building. You can't build anything of importance without a set of construction drawings, period. All good architects get their inspiration and their vision from somewhere. Find the people that inspire you, the buildings, the structures you want to emulate, and replicate it. One of the people that inspires me the most is my wife. Now, for those of you that know Stacy, you know this girl works. She works hard. She does whatever it takes to get the job done right the first time, every time. Have you ever walked by a stack of dishes in the kitchen sink or a pile of socks in the hallway and thought to yourself, I really should pick that up. You know what? I don't have time. I'll do it later. Who knows what I'm talking about? Everybody, right? Not Stacy. She acts on that thought every time. Now, I truly did have the intention of picking up the socks. But it doesn't matter what your intentions are. It matters what your actions are. Intentions won't build a building. Get your inspiration, get your vision. Napoleon Hill said, cherish your visions and your dreams as they are the children of your soul, the blueprints of your ultimate achievements. I believe the key word in that sentence is your. Cherish your vision, your dream, as they are the blueprints of your ultimate achievements. Find your vision and start drawing. What about cost and schedule? Now, I used to work in the food industry where I was a co-owner in a business where we had a baking food product. We were about to launch this business for the very first time. We ordered 10,000 pounds. We signed up to be the pancake sponsor for the Natural Products Expo for thousands of attendees. 2 weeks before the expo, the packaging company in California called us to let us know that there was a hole in the container. And during its ocean transit from the Philippines, water had leaked in and molded the entire 10,000 pounds. Holy shit. What just happened? I mean, life just happened. Not only did we have to call the expo and let them know that we were not exhibiting, we had to tell them that they had to find a new pancake sponsor 2 weeks before the expo. This cost us a ton to our budget, our schedule, our confidence, and our reputation before we even started the business. What's it going to cost you to build your building? Will it cost you not going out on the weekends, skipping family events, or postponing a vacation for a couple years? Will it actually cost you money to start your business or publish your new book? Anything worth doing is going to cost you something no matter what. How much time is it going to take you? As I'm sure you've heard before, most construction is over budget and over schedule. And unfortunately, even with the proper planning, this is more often than not true. Because in construction, just like in life, there's always going to be a freaking hole in the shipping container that you just didn't pick up in the construction drawings. Schedule delays, cost impacts are a part of the construction process. Expect it and just start digging. Which leads us to site work. There's a saying in construction, if you're going to get hurt, it's usually in the dirt. What this means is all your unforeseen costs live underneath the surface level. Everything else you can see on the blueprints, it's right there for you to bid, to build, to draw, but you don't know what lives underneath the surface level. I was recently working on a project in Salt Lake where we're doing a very large expansion for a big tech company. And the soils engineering report called for aggregate piers as the soil stabilization underneath the building. What these were is they were 2 foot wide, 40-foot deep holes that we drilled into the ground. We would then encase a sleeve into this hole, and we'd fill it up with gravel or aggregate. And as we pulled the sleeve out, we would vibrate it, creating one big 40-foot tall aggregate pier. This was to stabilize the soil underneath the foundation. The only problem was, as we started drilling, we realized that the soil was full of loose cobble and dirt. And with every rotation of the drill bit, the holes would collapse in on themselves, only allowing us to go a couple feet deep. This little impact, we had to go back and redesign the entire 160,000 square foot foundation for the building. It ended up costing our project team over 2 months in schedule delays before we even started digging, and the owner over $250,000 in change orders. If you're going to get hurt, it's usually in the dirt. Before you start digging to your foundation, you're going to have to assess the dirt on your site. You're going to have to haul off all the unwanted dirt and take it to the dump. So what is dirt? Dirt could be food, it could be alcohol, it could be gossip, or all the other minor things we convince ourselves to be so major in life. For some reason, we love to major in minor things. How our neighbor's marriage is falling apart, whose kid's the biggest brat at school, or what Kim and Kanye are up to in their latest episode. How can we expect to be successful in our own job sites if we're constantly focused on what other people are doing on theirs? When you submit documents to the city for a building permit, one of the documents you have to submit is a limit of disturbance, or an LOD. What this is it's a document that tells the city how much soil you're going to disturb on your lot. You're legally contracted to stay within inside your LOD. Obviously, you can't go ripping out trees in your neighbor's yard or tearing up asphalt in the street. You have to stay within inside your LOD. We're all on our own path in life. We all sit on our own lot trying to construct our own building. Let's face it, it's hard enough to get a vision that's really big and construct something on your own site. Don't be the person that's reaching out and disturbing other people's soil. Not only is it none of your business, it's not your right what other people are doing on their job site. Construct your building. Stay within your vision. Stay within inside your LOD. What about people? People can be some of the most unwanted dirt you'll have to haul off on your site. There's a lot of contaminated dirt on job sites, and there's a lot of good dirt too. Recognize the good dirt on your site. Keep it close. Use it as compaction and stabilization for your foundation. Get rid of that bad dirt. You'll never know what kind of dirt you have on your site until you start digging down to the foundation level. The foundation. I know you know this is important. The entire building will sit on this component. Everything has to be perfect. If you misplace a footing by 6 inches, the whole building will be out of whack. It'll spiral through the entire project. Your walls will be out of alignment. You'll have to redesign beams and columns and reinforcement. It'll ripple through the entire project. I cannot stress the importance of having a good foundation on your building. I want you to think about this question for 1 second. Who are you? Who are you as a person? What do you value most in your life? What do you value? Your values are the concrete on which your building sits on top of. Define your values, who you are as a person. That is your foundation. The entire building will sit on this. Once you've defined this, it's time to go vertical with your building. Now you're in the flow, Kelly. You're starting to make some momentum. You're actually getting a 3D model of what your building looks like. You're starting to frame out windows and doors and actual space for your vision to move around in. Everything on the blueprints is coming alive. All your hard work is starting to pay off. And then we get to button it up with some drywall and finishes. Now, people will walk into your structure for the very first time at this point. And it's almost like you didn't even do anything. Your structure's an overnight success. But this is the fun part. This is when you get to customize your building with your finishes. What kind of clothes you're going to buy after all the weight you've lost. How you're going to spend the profits of your new business. People will be in complete awe of what you've accomplished up to this point. Everyone, including you, will have completely forgotten that only a couple of years ago you were driving by a hole in the ground, wondering what the hell you were doing. What was taking you so long? But just because your building is finished up to this point, there's always going to be changes. There's always going to be maintenance. You're constantly going to be evolving with the times. That's the way it goes. Change is part of it. I was recently having coffee with a very good friend of mine, and he was telling me how much he hated his job and how much he wanted to quit it. Okay, quit your job. Go get a new one. Well, I don't like change, he said. Do you think change is a bad thing? Yeah, I do. Okay. Well, I don't see a flip phone in your pocket. I don't see you driving a push-cart wagon to work. Change is the inevitable, whether we like it or not. If you want to lose weight, if you want to make more money, if you want to have a better relationship with your spouse, if you want to get out of your current situation, you're going to have to change something. If you want to get out of your current situation, you're going to have to change something that you do every day. It's the inevitable. Embrace the change. So often, especially today, we just expect that we can show up to an empty lot and just move in. I've been guilty of this many times in my life, thinking that I just read the New York Times bestseller business book, and I'm like, oh man, I got this. I'm 200 pages of educated. Make me the CEO. I know what I'm doing. But just because I read that book doesn't mean I can place some appliances and fixtures on a piece of dirt and expect to move in. It just wouldn't work, would it? Don't forget how we got from here to here. There's an order of operation when you're constructing a building. You can't skip the steps in between and expect that the building will sit upright. Remember, it all starts with a plan. Get your vision, find your inspiration, and start drawing. Assess the dirt on your site. Hauling off dirt is a really hard thing to do, especially if dirt equals people. But it's super important. Who are you? Who are you as a person? What do you value most in your life? This is the foundation. This is the concrete of which your building will sit on top of. The implementation, the action. Like Stacy, you got to show up. You got to do the work. You got to pick up the hammer. You can't have the intention of the building. You got to pick up the hammer. Have you ever seen a construction site sit empty for months and take years to finish? We all have, especially in this town. The odds are it's simply because no one showed up to do the work. If you want your building built, you have to show up every day. No one's going to do it for you. Without commitment, you'll never start, and without consistency, you'll never finish. I can guarantee you that 3 things are going to happen to your site no matter what. Your lot's either going to sit empty, it's going to collect a pile of garbage, or it's going to be built on. Get your vision, start drawing. Haul off all the unwanted dirt. Define who you are and what you value. Pick up the hammer and start framing the building of you. Thank you.